Living with stone walls, you're encountering a hard material, so you need to balance that. We have a lot of things to feel really natural, very soft. Otherwise, it just feels severe and intense and cold and gray. I think we're just romantics, period. I think we can't help ourselves because it is romantic here. There's no question about it. If you buy an old stone house, you know what you're getting yourself into. I mean, you're buying into a fantasy. It will meet you at every opportunity, whether it's bats or squirrels or snakes coming into the house or the roof leaking or whatever it is. It will fight that romance, that kind of dream you have, and you just keep fighting it back, We have a new roof, we're okay now, so. Yeah. My name is John Baker. In 2016, we bought this place in rural Eastern Ontario in a town called Stirling. It's a old stone farmhouse from the mid-1800s. I live here with my wife, Julie, 2 kids, 2 dogs, and a cat. My wife, Julie, and I run our store, Mjölk. It's a Scandinavian and Japanese design shop in Toronto that we opened in 2009. We sell a mix of antiques, handcrafts. We make a collection of furniture actually here in Ontario, a lot of kitchenware, a lot of furniture and lighting. We live and work in the city above the store. It's a place where our work and our home life are really intertwined because we live in the same place. And then when we come here, we want to kind of shut off. We kind of divide our time between the 2 spaces. There's no internet here, there's no television. So that's seclusion, that kind of rural life, that's what we got out of this place. I think that our approach was definitely more like a restoration than a renovation. We didn't add any new walls, we didn't really change the footprint. We wanted to keep these details because they're the elements that kind of spoke to us the most. So in the parlor, for instance, we had these beautiful plaster walls, the original floor, the original baseboards. Those were those little nuggets that kind of hinted at what the house could be. So this is the family room. This is definitely one of our favorite spaces in the whole house. Probably the most bold thing in the whole space is this huge picture window. Looks like a very modernist architectural device that we've used to make the space more interesting. It actually was always open. You can kind of see from the stone this natural opening here. And what this was originally was a carriage door, which is mirrored on the other side of the room. Back in the 1800s, they would bring the horse and buggy directly into the summer kitchen here, unload, and so they didn't have to turn around, they would just go all the way through. The sun actually sets directly outside of this window. So sitting here, listening to music, watching the sunset, it's amazing. So a space like this, it's a family room, so a lot of the choices we made was softness, keeping softness in mind. So you have kind of the soft, mohair on the sofa, the sheepskin love seat. You have this kind of more shaggy carpet, so you can kind of sit down on the carpet, it's soft. This is our entryway closet. This is where we walk in, and we wanted to open the door, kind of be met immediately with this picture window. So we've kind of carved out this hole here. It doesn't meet the ceiling. It's very much, feels like architecture. It kind of feels like furniture as well. And then within this kind of element, we have, this beautiful kind of display stand with this Korean piece of pottery. And then you have surface, right? So we could put this little scroll. We have this antique Japanese kimono over here that's all patched together. I actually designed this guitar stand. It was never supposed to be a product. It was just, the idea of having something like a guitar in a living room. Usually it's a black metal and plastic stand. I wanted to do something more natural. It was in a photo somewhere on Instagram, and then people would, write me wanting the same thing. And now it's become a product. In a way, the space is inspired by a library. This was a big deal for us to get. So this is our Josef Frank secretaire. I'm really inspired by the Pippi Longstocking books, and she has a desk like this that has many, many different drawers, and all the drawers have seashells and penknives and all this kind of interesting stuff. Also, stationery is the best thing. Buying stationery is so fun. So yeah, just very romantic type of furniture. this Remington portable typewriter. It's actually not the same typewriter, but the same model that George Orwell used for 1984. This is a Scottish Orkney chair. This is actually the traditional style. So you have that kind of straw back, oak, our little Japanese, seat pad here. Like bureau, kind of modern, classical style of this, and this really kind of more farmhousey vibe, like working together, I think is interesting. This may be our most comfortable piece of furniture, a Napoleon-style chaise. We got this in England. There's a shop, Hunter and Rose, and if you buy the chaise, this is amazing. If you buy it, they'll upholster it for free. You just have to give them fabric. We did was Joseph Frank, botanical textile in black. It's just immersive. You sit in it, you can listen to music right here. You can read, there's a reading light right there. When my son comes in the morning, he immediately goes to this chair. Pets and kids, they say, if they're attracted to furniture or spending time on it, those are good pieces. In this house, we had to ask a lot from the materials. We needed things that were really hard wearing for, muddy paws and kids. It's expensive, but the best fabric is mohair. Mohair and then sheepskin. Mohair, I think people don't understand it. I mean, you often see it in like pretty bright colors like purple mohair, and people are scared of it. You can keep the sofa neutral and then kind of use those more like colorful cushions. That's kind of our workaround with neutrals. This is our kitchen. It's kind of inspired by like a workshop. So you have like the tools kind of at the ready. When we first saw this place, there was like a platform over a dirt floor. This is like where a lot of the messy things were happening in this house. So there were like animals kind of kept in here. There was a workshop, clearly a non-habitable space, and we had to turn it into a habitable space. The countertops here, these are Carrara marble, but they're actually from old showers from a hotel in Hamilton that were reclaimed. So you can kind of see here, the stone, it stopped here, so we were like, oh, we'll add this kind of oak butcher block to kind of finish it off, which I think kind of makes it look nice and makes it a bit more casual looking. These lights we sell through our store. It's our own product. It's by a Japanese designer, Oji Masanori, and it's on a counterweight, so you can kind of drop it, like stop, if you want that. If you're doing work, you want more light there, and then when you don't need it, you just pull it back up. This is an old sink. We bought it in Portugal, but it's probably from Italy originally. This is actually the old door to the pantry. We didn't need another door from the kitchen there. There's a beautiful thing about, doing dishes and not having like a plastic little mat, by your sink. So wash them, put them directly into the wood, let them kind of drip down onto the tile. I mean, ideally, the tile was sloped, that it would come to the sink. That maybe would have been a better, design. I kind of like that. It's got that kind of, there it is. You can just do this and water comes out, low tech. So this is where we keep all of our plates and all of our glassware. We've collected a lot of stuff through the store and through our travels, so it's nice to kind of get a visual read. It feels nice to have something kind of more like historical. It looks very English to my eye, but it's actually from Japan. It weighs nothing. Like, that's the cool thing about like this wood from Japan. Like, it's made, I don't know what it is. It's stained to look like oak, but it's not. It's lightweight. It was shipped in 2 pieces. We made the decision to make everything freestanding on legs. Part of it was just our walls are not straight. Mounting something on a stone wall is really challenging. We're in a rural place, like having people come to like install a kitchen is really challenging as well. These pieces we made just outside of Toronto, was built, brought in, and in one afternoon, it's placed, it's done. The idea that you could technically move the kitchen with you is kind of an unusual idea here in North America, but it happens in other places, in the world. And then you can fold in antiques. You get that sense of feeling like it's been here this whole time. I think with this house, it's always been that magic trick, trying to have things that feel at home here. Probably one of the most exciting things in this whole house. This is a wood fire cooker. So you put the logs here. I can open it. Different ovens for like different temperatures, and then these hobs, they open up, and that's like, roaring hot. And then this is a bit cooler over here. It kind of takes the pressure off the in-floor radiant heat. You can eat at the table. You can be looking at the fire. It's quite beautiful. And then, we have this little counter here where you got your knives. I've got a lot of Japanese knives that I pick up on travel. We make this peppermill. It took years to develop because we want to make one that's like heavy, it's pure brass. It's actually the same designer who does those diamond lights that I pointed out earlier. Because it's pure brass, it patinates, so it's getting that kind of green that happens over time. This is the last one you need to buy. I think a big thing for us was finding the right table, something that would fit, our family when friends come over. We ended up designing our own table. We enlisted, he's a musician, but he's also a great woodworker, Jason Collette, and we collaborated on it. He made the first one, and this is table number 2. It's based on an old shaker design, so it has this drawer that's like, good for cutlery. We have napkins in it right now. And then these chairs are old antique Urkel chairs. They're from England. And they're stackable, which is great. So we actually have some that we keep, in the basement. And when people come over, we can bring them out. They kind of remind me of old school, school chairs a little bit. I think with kids, benches are essential. They can sit on their knees. They can they always kind of, hover over the table to do, writing and drawing. And then in a pinch, you could fit a lot of adults on a bench like this. That spindly kind of shaker language is kind of what we like. There was this oversized pantry that was just off of the kitchen. We decided it was big enough to put our bathroom. The main thing that people notice is this huge carved stone tub that we bought from Portugal. We decided instead of having the classic glass surround shower, we would commit to baths. And that kind of, I feel speaks to the culture and style of the house, is kind of this more slow living. There's a Victorian style toilet, with a pull lever. The vanity's just, again, on legs, everything in the house is freestanding. The medicine cabinet is also an antique. I think it's an antique dentist cabinet with kind of glass fronts and many, many tiny little drawers. The walls are this lime wash, chalky pink color that works really well with the white marble sink and tub. In a weird way, I think I was really inspired by when plaster is wet, it has kind of a pinky color. So I think we probably saw it in a old English house, so we kind of replicated that. When the bathroom door is open and the guest room is open, you see green and you see pink. It all works really well. I think the parlor is our most successful space in the house. It has those elements that make a room great. You have the focal point, you have the mantle, that's the main show there. It's a contemporary masonry stove that we commissioned somebody to make, and then we clad it in antique tiles. And the tiles are from Gotland Island in Sweden. So you can kind of tell because there's this basket kind of symbolizes, the summer bounty. And that is particular to that region in Sweden. It suits that kind of rural symbolism. We have an oversized kind of low limestone coffee table. We really cherish this book collection by Julie's great uncle, Narcisse Pelletier. In the 1920s, he was a painter taught by members of the Group of Seven. He was also an early filmmaker. He's contributed a lot to our culture here in the family home. Having somebody creative in the past, we can kind of point to. We have a really kind of soft sofa in a gold mohair. So you get the texture from that. It's a small space, but it's really well balanced. We've kind of crammed it with a lot of stuff, but it still feels meditative. The parlor is probably the reason why we ended up buying this property. The house itself was pretty rough, but when you walked into the parlor, you got a hint of a grandness that existed there before. The guest room is kind of the room that you want your bedroom to be. We have green walls in there, a lime plastered green walls. We have a beautiful chest of drawers. It's a real antique shaker chest. We actually have our laundry in there, which was almost a thing I didn't want to have, but it's a necessity. So I designed a folding screen to kind of obstruct it. This guy you're going to hear a lot about, Josef Frank, it's his wallpaper. So we put that on. And then there's kind of a rod at the top where you can kind of hang clothes. It's almost like our last place where you can just put any kind of artwork and it works. So there's some old Swedish botanical pressings. I really like this kind of antique painting of 2 happy cows from India. A really nice framed gilt piece, a gold leaf piece that a friend made us. Eventually, my daughter probably will move to that room in the next couple of years. This is the second floor. The house actually had a name before we bought it, which we didn't know, and the name was the bathhouse. When we went upstairs, we realized that it's because there were many, many bats that have been occupying that space for a long, long time. We assumed that we would just kind of rebuild it, separate bedrooms, but once we opened all the walls up, opened up the ceiling, and exposed the stone, we just felt like we didn't have the heart to close it up again. And so our kids were quite small when we did this, and this is an old creaky house, so we knew they would probably be sleeping in the same room with us, even if we had separate rooms for them. And we decided to just embrace it, keep it flexible, keep it open. We've kind of set up another living room here. In all the major spaces in the house, there's fireplaces. So the fireplace here is used to obviously heat the space, but it's, it's a beautiful fireplace. So we set this up so that, if we're like reading our kids to bed, we have like a nice kind of lounge area. We can hang out, look at the fire, read those books. When you have like a huge space like this, it feels disconnected if it's just a bunch of beds in one room. So having, like at the end of the bed, like a big anchor piece, like the sofa here, which is like a Danish kind of gold velvet Arne Jacobsen sofa. There's another Arne Jacobsen sofa, but like in rattan over here, really informal, very light. This is an antique Japanese like work table that we've kind of turned into a coffee table. A really important thing for us was the stairwell is so narrow. So like big pieces of furniture like sofas, we can't fit. So like this is about as big as we could get. This is a very special chair. This is the hunting chair by Borg Mogensen. It's a mid-century Danish design. The idea was, reimagining the hunting lodge. So it's very low to the ground. The idea being that the fire is also low to the ground. It's beautiful on its own, but we put this kind of Japanese, textile on top of it to give it a bit more texture, a bit more atmosphere. These are our kids' beds. We were really inspired by this woven chair pad on this shaker rocking chair that we kind of tied to the quilts here. We didn't want them to argue, so we made them have the exact same bed. And obviously the difference is just the stuffed animals that go on. The prints on these are actually the same print as the chaise downstairs, except these are the white version. 1940s design, Swedish, botanical from Josef Frank. Just something simple, that didn't seem too kiddie, but like was soft, kind of fun. This is an antique Japanese step display. We'll use this for, displaying Legos, for glasses of water. Instead of getting traditional, bedside furniture, we wanted things like from our travels that are kind of put to different uses than they were intended. This is for the Arabia factory, which is like a ceramics factory in Finland, by Tapio Workala. It's natural and kind of fits the palette here. We made these freestanding closets. They have cane fronts and sides, so in a way they're kind of breathable. It's not musty in here, but it just keeps the clothes a bit fresher. The nice thing is if we need more, which we absolutely need more storage, you can just like kind of keep building them. This is called the bellhop. So it's like an old valet. It's the same amazing place Spanx 10 that does like the textiles that are on the beds. This is the cleanest it's ever looked. It always has dresses, my wife's dresses draped over it constantly. But it's so beautiful. It's kind of, again, it's like old world. They stopped making it, which is such a shame. One thing that you might notice is there's no curtains anywhere here in the house. Maybe one day we'll add them, but I kind of like the idea of setting our speed to the natural rhythms of the light. When it's sunny in the morning, you just have to get up, I guess. I think here, we're relying on a different kind of way of life. These things that take time away from being busy, and you're kind of forced to kind of meet with those kind of, beautiful inconveniences. We try to like lean on the wood fire to kind of heat this place as well. The rituals of making a fire, maintaining a fire, you feel kind of reconnected with like another time period. When you live in an old home like this, you have to be aware at some point that, you know, you're not gonna have this place forever. You have this long history and very little of like the original artifacts of the original home are still here besides the actual shell. So we're kind of in a way living within that shell. We have our life, we brought it in, we placed it, and then, you know, eventually it won't be there. I would say that our approach was trying to make like a proper English country house. And we kind of failed. Like we wanted to make it really authentic, but we can't help but pollute it with Mjölk things. Like Japanese artifacts, Danish furniture, but like done in mohair. Like all the inspiration was probably from England, and then through our like filter, it came out like this.